Hi guys, welcome back to Two-Stroke Running and Repairs. I thought some of you guys might be interested in what I keep inside my chainsaw toolbox. So I'll bring you in here and show you a bit. This is a little bit different from what I normally keep in there because I'm going away next weekend and I'm planning on doing a lot of slabbing, so I've got kind of two toolboxes going, but I'll take you through this one and just kind of tell you what I've got in the other one. Alright, so I've got this Tactics toolbox. I got it from Bunnings. It's a really nice quality, solid, hard plastic toolbox. The metal clasp on it, it's a single clasp, but it's really strong. In the top, I've got the top tray. So in this I've got flat file. This is my 0.325 chain file, and I've got one of the little Husky guides on that. I really like that guide. I've got two 3/8 low profile files. I've just ended up with them. And then this one's for 3/8 inch chain and this one's for 404 chain. This is a little bit of a different filing guide. I was given this by a mate. It's actually quite an old one, but rather than sitting on the raker and the back of the top plate, this just sits on the top plate. So that's a nice file. Depth gauge, angle gauge, couple of different carb screwdrivers. Then I've got this screwdriver. It's a flat and a Phillips blade in one. Alright, then I also just have a permanent marker for marking the top of my cutters. Couple of chainsaw tools because it's good to have a couple of spares. Then in the main box I have bar tip greaser, bunch of rags, wedges. These are just some wedges that I cut up on a drop saw, and they're just made out of pine. They work pretty good, and when I hit them with the saw, you don't like damage the bar. You're just basically cutting wood, the chain. Then in here I've got a spare set of gloves, some ear protection in that bag, and some spare safety glasses. I've got some Torx head tools. I've just got this one in for this trip because I'm going to be swapping out some parts to test, but usually I just have this Allen key style one. I've got a bit of scouring pad, which I find is good to clean the metal off the files as you're filing. I've also thrown in my Grandberg grinder join sharpener. I normally just keep this at home in my other kind of spare parts servicing toolkit, but because I'm planning on doing a lot of cutting and it's hardwood, I'm going to keep this in there just in case I hit a rock. And with that I've got my little box of spare bits and pieces. Needle nose pliers. They're good if, say, you need to replace a clutch spring. Another chainsaw tool. Little shifter. A ratcheting wrench, and then in this old floppy disk case I've got a various sizes of different sockets for nuts I'll find on the saw. I can do the clutches, also do the flywheels, paintbrush to clean off air filters and stuff. Another flat file and some spare flat files. Spare round files in every size. A couple of lighters just for melting starter rope and stuff. Wound dressing. And then a little spare parts kit. So in this little parts case, it's just another floppy disk case. I've got 2 spare spark plugs, starter rope, a spare normal handle and a spare steel elasto handle. This one, the rope broke and I just replaced it with a normal rope, so that works pretty well. Ton of spare bar nuts, both 19 and 13 mil, cover all my bases. Spare fuel filters, and then this little bag with some other spare bits and pieces in it. So I've got spare clutch bearings, I've got a spare rim sprocket. This one's one that's been used but it's not totally dead. Spare oil worm gear, 3 spare clutch springs. I can use the long nose pliers I have to replace those, and then a variety of spare screws in different sizes because you never know what you might need. And finally 2 of these little wear pads that go on the inside of your clutch cover on your bigger steel saws, on most of them actually. These are a couple of ones that are almost worn out but not quite, so if I lose one I can slap one of these on as a stopgap measure until I can get home and buy a new one, but that just stops the chain chewing up the case if it gets flung off or it's too loose. And then because I'm going away and I'm planning to do a lot of slabbing and it's not like I'm able to come back to the shed each night, I've got my taco in, spare air filter pre-cleaners, 4 spare air filters for my Steel 044, spare filter for the MS170, spare oil pump for my 044 just because it's been a little bit hit and miss lately, and then spare chain for the little saw, spare chains for the big saw, and then I've got some more files in there, and then also I've got the stock muffler because I'm testing the highway muffler on my 044, and we'll see what the outcome is. But yeah, I like to have stuff and not need it than need stuff and not have it, so some people might call this overkill. I kind of half think it's overkill, but I'm not going to have a saw die. So that's what I keep in my toolkits. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll have some more videos for you shortly.